Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between the thick forests of West Africa, there lived a poor widow named Amina. She was a woman of great kindness, known for her generosity and humility. Her husband, Suleiman, had passed away some years earlier, leaving her to care for their young son, Ibrahima. Despite her struggles, Amina never let the hardships of life weigh heavily on her heart. She continued to work hard in the fields, planting yams, maize, and beans, while also tending to the household chores and caring for Ibrahima. The villagers admired her resilience and often helped her in small ways, for they knew she would return their kindness tenfold. But one fateful day, as Amina was walking through the village marketplace, a mysterious traveler arrived. He was tall, with eyes as deep as the midnight sky and a presence that seemed to cast a shadow over everything around him. The travelers and villagers whispered about him, unsure of where he had come from, but Amina, with her gentle spirit, welcomed him into her humble home. Over dinner, as they spoke by the dim light of a flickering candle, the man told Amina that he was a wanderer, seeking rest from a long journey. He asked her what troubled her, and she shared the sorrow of losing her beloved Suleiman. She spoke of how the village had grown quiet without him, how her son missed his father's guidance, and how the land seemed less fertile since his passing. The traveler listened attentively and, when she had finished speaking, he said, "You are not the only one grieving, Amina. I have a tale to share with you, one that may bring you peace." He told her a story of the afterlife, where spirits of the departed traveled to the land of the ancestors. There, they lived in harmony, watching over their families. However, the spirit of a man could only return to his earthly home if his love for his family remained strong enough to call him back. But such a return was not an easy journey, for it required the spirit to pass through the thick veil of the forest of the dead, where shadows and fears roamed. Only those with pure hearts and deep love could find their way back. Amina listened with rapt attention, feeling a strange hope stirring within her. The traveler spoke again, this time more softly. "Your husband's spirit may yet return, Amina, if you are willing to sacrifice something of yourself. But be warned, the journey is not without danger. You must trust your heart and remain steadfast in your love." Amina, moved by the traveler's words, nodded in agreement. "I will do whatever it takes," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. The traveler gave her a small, intricately carved wooden pendant, a symbol of protection and guidance. "This will help you," he said. "Wear it close to your heart. In 3 days' time, at the rise of the full moon, journey to the edge of the great forest. There, you will find the path that leads to your husband." That night, Amina hardly slept. She spent the hours thinking about her husband, about the love they had shared, and the life they had built together. She knew that if she was to see Suleiman once more, it was her love for him that would light the way. On the third night, under the light of the full moon, Amina set out alone, leaving her son in the care of the villagers. She wore the pendant around her neck, its warmth a comfort as she walked toward the dark and mysterious forest. As she approached the trees, their towering forms seemed to close in around her, casting long, eerie shadows. Amina took a deep breath and stepped into the forest, trusting her heart and the guidance of the pendant. The deeper she went, the more she felt the presence of strange creatures watching her from the shadows. She heard whispers in the wind, soft and distant, but they seemed to carry warnings of fear and doubt. But Amina pressed on, calling out softly, "Suleiman, my love, I am coming to you. I believe in you. I believe in us." At the center of the forest, she found a clearing bed in the pale light of the moon. There, standing before her, was a figure she knew all too well, Suleiman. His form was translucent, glowing with the soft radiance of the afterlife. He was no longer the man she remembered, yet she recognized him immediately. "Suleiman," she cried, rushing to him. "Is it really you? How can this be?" Suleiman smiled gently, his eyes filled with love and sadness. "Amina, my heart, it is truly me," but I have only been able to return because of your unwavering love. The journey was long, and the path was filled with trials, but I could not bear to stay away from you and our son any longer." Amina's heart filled with both joy and sorrow. "But how long can you stay with me, my love? The world you now live in is not my world." Suleiman's smile faded a little. "I can only remain for a short while, Amina. The veil between the living and the dead is strong. But I wanted you to know that I have been watching over you, and I will continue to do so. You are not alone, even in my absence." Before Amina could say anything more, Suleiman's form began to fade, his body dissolving into the light of the moon. "Take care of Ibrahima," he whispered as his voice grew faint. "And remember, love is the strongest force of all. It is what brought me back to you, and it will always guide you." With that, Suleiman disappeared, leaving Amina standing alone in the clearing. She felt the weight of his absence, but also a deep sense of peace. She knew that, though he was no longer physically with her, his spirit would always be by her side. Amina returned to the village, where the villagers greeted her with concern, asking if she was well. She smiled and showed them the pendant the traveler had given her. "I have seen my husband," she said. "He will always be with us, as long as we remember the strength of love." From that day forward, Amina lived her life with a renewed sense of purpose. She continued to work hard, raising her son with wisdom and grace. And though she never saw Suleiman's spirit again, she knew that his love would always protect them, no matter what. And so, the village spoke of Amina, the woman who called back her dead husband with nothing but love, and they learned that even in the darkest times, love could conquer all, guiding them through the shadows and into the light.